Marcus Smart. He called out Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum the other day after they lost to Chicago because they blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. And the quote is as goes. I would just like to play basketball. Every team knows we're trying to go to Jayson and Jaylen. Every team is programmed and studied to stop Jayson and Jaylen. I think everybody's scouting report is to make those guys pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. That's something they're going to learn. They're still learning. We're proud of the progress they're making, but they're going to have to take another step and find ways to not only create for themselves, but create for others on this team to open up the court for them. Later down in the game, where they're always going to have to take those tough shots or take tough matchups when they get those one-on-one matchups or they bring a trap, it's something we've been asking them to do when they're learning. We just got to contribute to help those guys do that to help our team. So Smart called them out. Then they had a players-only meeting before they played Orlando. They beat Orlando, and just as recently they beat Miami, a very commanding win against Miami as well. And Woj said that the meeting was emotional at times, but in the end, perhaps not a terribly productive meeting and maybe not even beneficial. So the meeting they had wasn't beneficial. So I don't know if we can credit the Celtics playing better because of this, at least based on this Woj report.
I'm not looking into that.
And Jaylen Brown also spoke on it and said that he didn't think it needed to be said. So he, basically said, Marcus Smart, we ain't really need that.
Because he's being singled out, obviously.
But since then, before those comments, Marcus Smart said the Celtics allowed 120 points per game. Since those comments, they held Orlando to 79 and Miami to 78. And versus Orlando, Boston held them to 32% from the field, 21% from three, versus Miami, 35% from the field and 22% from three. So do you think these comments help Boston play better, and are you now buying some stock into Boston moving forward?
I think that this is exactly what they needed. Marcus Smart, what I said from day one when they re-signed him, was that you need a locker room presence. He is so essential to keeping this team together because of what he means in the locker room and just the small intangibles that he brings to the court. He's going to play hard every single time he's on the court. That tough, hard-nosed type player, that's Marcus Smart. And obviously he isn't the most skillful player, but you need a player that is going to bring hustle night in, night out. And you can't rely on Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown to bring that hustle every night, but you can rely on Marcus Smart 82 games of the season to do that. And in terms of leadership, as great as Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are, they're not true leaders. I don't look at Jayson Tatum, I don't look at Jaylen Brown right now and look at them as team captains. That's Marcus Smart. And whether Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum like it or not, they needed someone to tell them, listen, you guys are all-stars, you guys are all-world, get it together. It's bigger than just you two. If we want to win, we got to do it as a unit. And Jaylen Brown, obviously, he suffered that injury against Miami, and that definitely hurts because Jaylen Brown has been absolutely eating. But Jayson Tatum has been very, very spotty up until this, at least up until this point in the season, averaging only 22 points per game. His efficiencies are all over the place. He's going to get it together eventually, but their struggles are due to his struggles as well. Because if Jayson Tatum is cooking, this isn't even a question. They're going to obviously win more games than they have been. But they needed that locker room talk because defensively they have been liabilities every single night that they've played. Other than these last two nights that they actually had post this conference with one another. They could say that, or Woj's report saying that it wasn't really beneficial, and Jaylen Brown coming out and saying that, they really didn't have to be said because that's one of the guys in question. Jayson Tatum probably knows, listen, I'm not the best facilitator, I know that. But you look at Giannis, and Giannis shouldn't be one of the best facilitators on his team, but he is, because he knows that he's going to get trapped every single time he gets that ball in the paint. He needs to make the smart decision and see the guy in the wing, see the open guy. Because when you're the best player, you draw the most attention. And all that means is that there's going to be someone open. 9 times out of 10, if I'm Jayson Tatum or I'm Jaylen Brown and I have 25 points in a game, no duh, it's not a question that I'm going to draw a double team. See the open guy. Jaylen Brown averaging 2.5 assists is not going to get it done. Jayson Tatum averaging under 4 assists is not going to get it done. They need to start seeing the guys, and I can understand where they could doubt their players because outside of Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, Al Horford, I'll give him his respect. He's been playing excellent, especially at this point in time in his career. Averaging 13 and 10 is more than firm. 3 blocks a game has been incredible. Dennis Schroeder, averaging 13.3. He's been good because facilitating the basketball, he's been very a key piece to their offense, averaging 6 assists a game. And obviously, you have Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown. It's going to be easy to get those assists. But he's given them a spark that they need because Marcus Smart, as much of a hustle player he is, as great as he is defensively, he's not a true point guard. And Dennis Schroeder, at least, has done that for them. Marcus Smart, he may not be the best. Like I said, his numbers don't show that he's been stellar up until this point, 8.8 points per game.
He hasn't been good.
He hasn't been good at all. He's been very spotty. But you need still to have that type of presence in the locker room, regardless of where it's coming from. There's a reason Udonis Haslem still has a spot on that Heat roster because he's in the locker room. People look to him as someone that they could go to for knowledge, go to for any type of thing in the game of outside of skill. Just you need someone to hold you accountable, and that's Marcus Smart. And so I don't mind these comments at all because clearly something happened that sparked them to have a change in their game, and I'm in on them. I think that this is going to spark a change because we haven't even seen Jayson Tatum be Jayson Tatum yet.
So the reports were that the meeting didn't help, but I mean, as of recently, the last 2 games, obviously it's not a big stretch. They're 2-0. They played great defense. They held down Miami, which I think was a very impressive win. I think that was a statement win for Boston. I think that's a win that they can build off of because they beat probably, in my opinion, a top 5 team in the NBA. But I agree with Drew. Jayson Tatum needs to step up. Jayson Tatum this year is averaging 22.7 points per game on 37% field goal shooting percentage, shooting 27% from the 3, shooting 74% from the free throw line, and his EFG percentage is 42%. I checked all of those. Those are all career lows, even dating back to his rookie season. So even his rookie season, he was way more efficient than he is now. So I think this team will get better, start to take off when Jayson Tatum plays better. I mean, I'm not gonna expect Jayson Tatum to play this bad. This is a guy who I think I thought coming into this year he was gonna make a statement and be a top 10 player. Obviously, that hasn't been the case now. I still think Jayson Tatum's gonna turn this around. But another thing that's holding this Boston team back, me and Joel talked about it a while ago, and I actually agree with him. They don't have a true playmaker. They don't have a guy that can set these 2 score first players up. Marcus Smart, we can all attest to this. He's not a true playmaker. Even Dennis Schroeder, I know he's averaging 6 assists per game, but he's not a true playmaker. He's not somebody that's going to get you in your sets. He's more of a score-first player. That's what he's been throughout for most of his career. So, I think that the bad play stems on Jayson Tatum's shooting percentage. The good thing about it all, though, is the last 2 games, Jayson Tatum hasn't been playing well, but they have won. They have won 2 impressive wins. They played great defensively. If Jayson Tatum can get you his 27, 28 points per game that he was getting you last year on pretty good efficiency, along with the defensive effort that this team's giving you, I think that this team is much better than a 4-5 record. I think this is a team that can go anywhere from the 6 to 5 seed if everything's clicking on all cylinders. I would like to see them during the trade deadline make a trade for a traditional point guard, maybe like a Ricky Rubio, somebody who can run the sets. But I think this team right now, off that players meetings 2-0, they're playing defense. I think they have a game tonight against Dallas. Let's see how they come out against Dallas. But I think this team is trending towards the right path. That players only meeting has them playing defense. I would like to see Jayson Tatum step up. He's better than these percentages. He's better than these averages. We all know he is. He's an all-star. We all consider him a superstar. Jaylen Brown's playing well. Al Horford's kind of had like a little revival in his career, averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds. He's leading the NBA in blocks, so he's playing well. So all these issues on offense just stem on Jayson Tatum. I would like to see him become a little bit of a better playmaker and more efficient, and then we'll see where that takes them. And, hopefully during the trade deadline, they can make a trade for a point guard that can set up these guys. If they have a playmaker, if they're playing defense and Tatum's playing better, this team can be a really good team.
And real quick, no JB tonight.
No.
So we'll see Jayson Tatum if he actually, if it's Jaylen Brown getting more opportunities and that's the reason why he's been struggling. We'll see that tonight. If Jayson Tatum's, Jayson Tatum that we think he is, let him prove it tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Jayson Tatum has career lows across the board because this is the curse of the Laker. You know, he wore Lakers gear. As a Boston Celtic, that's almost a sin. That's as bad as a sin. So because of that, Jayson Tatum, you know, the basketball guys are punishing him for doing such a heinous act and crime.
Stop it.
You can't wear a Lakers jersey as a
It's his
Boston
favorite
Celtic.
player.
Kobe
It doesn't
favorite
matter.
player.
You can't wear a Lakers jersey as a Boston Celtic.
Yeah.
That's the biggest rivalry in basketball. So the basketball guys are having Jayson Tatum shoot poorly for a stretch of games. We'll see if he picks it up, but that's why he's playing bad. Marcus Smart speaking out to the media is like that meme you see where it's like, worst person you know just made an excellent point. That's Marcus Smart because he's right. He's 100% right in what he's saying. Not in that instance. Versus the Bulls, Tatum and Brown passed the ball. They missed. Marcus Smart missed. They had open looks. They missed. Then Smart alluded to how he alluded to the fact that he can do more with the ball in his hands. You know, he wants opportunities. He basically talked about how he can play make.
He capped.
No, you can't. Because we see you. When the ball is in your hands, you do nothing with it. You don't assist. You create more turnovers than anything. You shot chuck. You're just like these guys, but not as good. Because Marcus Smart wants to be like Tatum. He wants to be like Brown. He wants to be good enough to where he can hoist up 28 shots a game and not get any pushback. But he can't because he's not that good. He's not that good offensively. And defensively this season, he hasn't been that great. I don't know if this player's only meeting helped them. Maybe they played better because they were pissed off at each other and they just had to get it out some way, somehow. But defensively versus the Heat, watching their defense,
Tatum.
close to perfect. It was picture perfect, actually. Al Horford, his switches onto perimeter, he's been amazing. Robert Williams, his defense on perimeter has been amazing. They were clicking, they were rotating, they were all in sync, communicating with each other. I told you guys last episode I was all out on the Celtics. I still am. I don't feel like, maybe they'll figure out how to make the playoffs. Maybe they'll do that. If you're betting on Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you obviously are going to take that route. Are they going to do anything? No. They're not going to do anything because there are still holes on this roster that need to be fixed. Schroeder is inconsistent. You can't really trust that bench. Marcus Smart is not a point guard. They need a true point guard, and they don't have one. And Jaylen Brown already injured again. Who knows how long that's going to linger. And now with the basketball gods curse on Jayson Tatum, who knows how that's going to go because the basketball guys dictate what they're going to do. It's not up to us. It's not up to Tatum. He's going to play how he's going to play. I'm still out on the Celtics. Maybe they make the playoffs. Who knows? But I think Marcus Smart calling them out was probably needed because they were playing like complete garbage. Ime Udoka, who knows how he's as a coach. He's trying to get to these players. He's doing the best he can, but it feels like these players just aren't receptive. He's been coaching them tough. And some players like being coached tough, some don't. You can only really tell if you're in that locker room. I just don't get a great feeling about the Boston Celtics. Yes, they just won 2 games against the Heat, very good team, and then Orlando, not that impressive. We'll see if they can keep it up. But I'm still not all in on the Celtics. I just feel like there's something about them that is making me push back on them. I'm just not a fan right now.
I just think that once Jayson Tatum cooks up, I think it'll be a lot easier to get on that Celtics bandwagon.
Possibly so.
But I can understand, obviously, Jayson Tatum's
He's been horrendous.
horrific in terms of us reviewing the normal Jayson Tatum that we've become accustomed to. But I don't see him continuing these terrible low efficiencies. I actually have another question. Do you think the change of the basketball has an impact on these players?
It definitely does.
Yeah.
It's a different basketball.
Yeah.
It's been crazy to see how obviously there's
Paul
still
George
players.
said something about it the other day.
What is it? Is it something about like the weight of the basketball?
They're saying it's more slippery. That's why you see a lot of shots get like more air balls. That's what Paul George said. You see a lot of shots missing left, right, because the balls, it's just more slippery. It doesn't have as much grip as the last basketball.
It's a Wilson basketball now?
Yeah.
Why did they suddenly change it?
No clue.
Sponsorship deals, probably more money. You never know.
They need to get an Evo up there.
I feel like a Wilson basketball, like that's been high school regulation, college to a degree now too.
Honestly,
only seen.
I've had a Spalding official NBA ball before. I don't like how they feel.
I've never had one. I feel like I can never find one.
I've had one. I don't like how they feel. I like Wilson's, like Evo's way better.
Evos are the best basketballs.
Evos are the best basketball.
I love Evos. That being said, it's kind of crazy to me that we're seeing.
But they don't
like,
use Evos.
No, they don't.
They don't use Evos.
It's really impacting their shots, and I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, they're NBA basketball players. You'd think that they would pick up any type of ball and still be able to hoop, but we're seeing it really impact them.